Chapter 29: An Artist's Journey. From an early age, I was labeled an artist, and the title stuck. In elementary school, the nuns made a particular fuss over my drawing skills, perhaps a way to placate me given my abysmal academic performance. My report cards were a consistent disappointment to my parents, peppered with E's and F's, except for one shining anomaly, an A+ in art. If you were to graph my grades, they would form a flat line of failures with a single sharp spike for my art classes. In those early years, my understanding of art was simple. The ability to draw from life was the metric of success, and I seemed to do better at it than my peers. Maybe I just tried harder. Encouraged by those around me, I felt an obligation to explore art more deeply. My pre-university work was experimental and inconsequential. But by the time I reached university, my style began to coalesce. Influenced by Canadian realists, I embraced photography as an integral tool in my painting process. I used my camera to capture fleeting moments, modifying images to suit my vision, then translating them into oil paintings. Photography allowed me to gather references efficiently, assembling compositions from multiple sources to create something that felt both real and timeless. I have often been encouraged to express some form of artistic statement, as it might help me clarify an understanding of my own work. However, I believe the interpretation of my art is best left to the viewer. I don't feel I should have to explain it. At first glance, my paintings depict semi-natural environments frozen in time, ordinary yet evocative. They are not fantastical, but they do invite interpretation. No two people hear the same narrative in a piece of music, just as no two viewers see the same story in a painting. A discarded tractor tire in a ditch entangled in dead foliage may evoke something deeply personal to one observer, while remaining just junk to another. My aim is not to be cryptic or philosophical, but to create images that resonate. I find beauty in the mundane: gravel roads, snowmobile tracks on a frozen river, an abandoned structure reclaimed by nature. These familiar yet overlooked subjects become doorways to memory and interpretation. While my brushwork is often intricate and realistic, my compositions do not require an art degree to appreciate. Technically, I have always been mindful of craft and longevity. The process of oil painting is ancient, and I respect its traditions. Many modernist painters, despite their brilliance, disregarded conservation techniques, leading to premature deterioration of their work. I strive to build my paintings with permanence in mind, from stretching the canvas to layering painting properly. My interest in art conservation was sparked in 1977 while assisting in the restoration of 19th century church paintings, a formative experience that reinforced my appreciation for traditional techniques. My working process varies from the seasons. In the summer, I take camping trips north to paint plein-air oil painting sketches, which stand as finished pieces rather than studies for larger works. In the colder months, I focus on studio paintings, scouting local scenes, photographing them under different lighting conditions, and digitally modifying images before committing them as a sketch reference for canvas. I make no pretensions about using technology. Photoshop is a valuable tool that allows me to refine my compositions. My studio setup includes a computer with an extended monitor positioned next to my easel that I use to view a digital sketch. During my 30-year career as a secondary school teacher, I encouraged students to experiment with a variety of media, styles, and techniques. I rarely repeated the same project twice, preferring to adapt and refine assignments to keep them fresh and engaging. I believe that teaching art affords a type of creative freedom that the more rigid academic subjects may not have. In retirement, I am free from the hurried routine of teaching without the constraints of curriculum and administrative obligations. I can immerse myself in painting at my own pace. Since 2013, I have completed many new works with a portfolio dating back to the 1970s. I do, however, continue to struggle with defining my artistic goals, but perhaps that's a good thing. Painting for the sake of painting is reason enough. The challenge of selecting a painting subject remains as elusive as ever. Not all paintings work. Sometimes the least viable subject will become the most compelling in an act of creating with its own reward. Painting pictures can at times become a full-time occupation, albeit without the pressures of deadlines or financial dependence. I recognize that I was never cut out to be a full-time artist in the commercial sense. My teaching career provided stability, allowing me the luxury of pursuing art at my own terms. Now, with time and experience on my side, I am focused on sharing my work, possibly with art gallery shows in the future. For now, I paint, and that's enough.